Welcome to Sipping Success, the ultimate podcast for all things beverage and alcohol. We are here to quench your thirst for insights, analysis, and a splash of entertainment. Get ready to dive into the world of beverages with us. From the latest trends to in-depth discussions with industry leaders, we've got it all covered. Whether you're a connoisseur or a curious sipper, Sipping Success is your go-to guide. Join us as we uncork knowledge, raise a glass to innovation, and help you elevate your brand to new heights. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's sip success together. Tune in to Sipping Success and drink in the wisdom. Cheers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sipping Success podcast. I'm your host, Casey Haakinson. Today, we're joined, and very excited to have this guest. We're joined with Scott Rickett. He's the president, CEO of Bella Petite Beverages. And after blending the finest ingredients, they remove all of the alcohol with the most advanced technology available, and he'll explain that later. It's very interesting, to make a delicious low-carb, low-calorie, low-sugar alternative to sodas and sugary fruit drinks. Then the best part is they infuse this amazing sparkling delight with the finest nanotechnology, hemp-derived CBD on the planet with no THC. This new alternative beverage gives you all the natural antioxidants in the wine and all the amazing benefits of the world's finest CBD. The best of both worlds: low calorie, delicious, and no THC. And Bella Petite is sold just about everywhere. And again, we'll have Scott share that information as well. So without further ado, Scott, very happy to have you. Welcome to the podcast, to Sipping Success. And why don't we start with interested to hear more about your background and ultimately what led to the founding of Bella Petite.
Thanks, Casey. Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. It's been an interesting journey. You know, I always tell people I think I've lived 9 lives already, or hopefully not all 9 of them yet. But my background and really where a lot of this stemmed from was in the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. So I spent most of my youth and time traveling and playing music, and worked my way up in here in California into some of the biggest touring bands in the world. Then became a studio musician and did a lot of time in the studios recording, and then eventually built my own studio and started producing and recording. And through that time, had a lot of artists coming down to our location on the beach, and they would bring in these chefs while they stayed and recorded. And really learned that a lot of the people in the entertainment industry, bigger the personalities, you know, a lot of them just didn't do well with the alcohol. So we were always having these incredible dinners and these amazing chefs, and then these guys would be drinking O'Doul's and sparkling Martinellis, you know, apple juice and stuff. So it was like it was kind of oh man, I can do better. So I originally started with Rickett Brewing, and we started making beer. And beer was my first go-to. It was easier to de-alkalize. It was fun to home brew, and it kind of got me started on that whole process. And then we used different technology. Back in that day, there really wasn't a lot of emulsion technology available to me, at least at that time. So we were coming up with all different ways to infuse it, but mostly I was trying to make delicious, real alternatives, IPAs and other beers that people would enjoy the nice meal. And that's kind of where it started from. And then I originally started Rickett Brewing, which was here in California, and we were in the cannabis industry. So we made cannabis beer originally, and then I saw some of the bigger players in the beverage industry getting into cannabis, i.e. Canopy Growth and Molson Coors and some of them. So I was like, you know, I don't think I could compete with them with beer. So I said, I'm going to continue this journey, and I started moving and working on wine. Wine's a little more difficult to de-alkalize. So that took a little bit more time, a little bit more research, a little bit more work, and then continued to press and push on the technology for infusion. And so we launched, and then even went one step further than that and got into sparkling, into the champagnes and the sparkling with carbonation's a whole nother animal to deal with. So at that same time, continued to push forward with learning about the emulsion technology and what was available and out there, and what programs and people were doing it, and traveled around quite a bit learning that. And first of all, the first thing we released was Jolet Fleur, which was a THC champagne here in the California cannabis market.
Okay.
Did really well. We got featured in Rolling Stone magazine. We got voted by the LA Times as the #1 cannabis beverage in California. We now have 4 SKUs out. This is our fifth year now, coming into 2024 will be our 5th year in the California cannabis industry. But very small. It's a small footprint dealing with the dispensaries. We can't ship out of state to any other state because of the cannabis laws. So it limited me in the wine side. Everything in beverage takes quantity to have any kind of profitability if possible. And the processes of the dealcoholizing and transportation, all that's just so costly. So I saw limitations here in the market of how many shops and how many people that we were actually able to touch. So we created Bella, and Bella Petite Beverages was taking the same concepts, the same technology, some of the exact same wine formulas, and then using the same technology to infuse it with CBD hemp. That gave us a little bigger platform. CBD for human and pet consumption still is not federally legal. The FDA get paid by Congress before they'll actually put it into some kind of supplement category, which we've all been waiting for years, since the Farm Act was passed. We'd hope the FDA would do something, because the Farm Act passed hemp for use and for cultivation, for all different type of stuff, but they really were pushing it more towards the industrial hemp for industrial uses. And the FDA was supposed to get into more of the consumption side of it. But what has happened over the years is now each state has kind of created their own different law program to work within. With California, we have AB 45 that was passed. So now we can create, develop, and sell hemp-related products, and that's how Bella was developed. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where it all began.
Well, thank you for that. And then, so let's dive in a little bit here. So you mentioned the champagne. Can you give us kind of a summary of the brands that you have under that Bella Petite umbrella?
Under Bella right now, we have a number of different wines. Our signature that we released originally was a Southern Spanish sangria, a sparkling sangria, super delicious. A blend of 3 different red wines, a little bit of cinnamon, some cloves, some blood orange. It's a true Southern Spanish formula. That was our signature that we launched out with. We also have 2 different champagnes that we also offer in the cannabis space through Jolet Fleur Rickett, a pink champagne that is a little bit more fruity, has some notes of raspberry to it. We use some of the actual Pinot Noir skins to bring the color and some of the hue and some of the flavors out in that. And then we have a true Brut Blanc champagne that we have. Both of those in Bella in 750 ml bottles with cork and wire. The whole same process. They're delicious. You could serve them at your Christmas dinner or holiday, party dinner or anything else for any of the friends or relatives or people that don't drink alcohol, and get them a true experience. And with the technology that we've done, the Bella product is very much a complement to a traditional champagne, and a lot of people will drink it and not even know it doesn't have alcohol in it. We've really done some special things to it to create it. So we have the 2 champagnes, and then we have 3 still wines. We have a really delicious California Cab, a Rosé, and a Chardonnay. Okay. So in Bella, we've got a nice arrangement of wines. We continue to push our technology, and I'm actually today we're in our lab here. So we use that same technology for the emulsions that we make Bella gummies, and the gummies are a vegan gummy, nano emulsified. Great experience for people. We also do a whole new program with what we call quick melts, or orally dissolving tablets, ODTs, and those are tablets you put underneath your tongue. They dissolve, And there's only 3 ways to bypass our digestive system. So this goes through the sublingual method, which is underneath our tongue, through our jowls, basically into our right there where our jugular veins are. And it's a great way, again, using our nanotechnology, using some of the delivery methods to get quick onset and quick delivery for different cannabinoids. And mainly right now, we're really focusing on all the different CBD cannabinoids and how they can help people with sleep and with pain and with anxiety. And there's even ones that help give you focus and energy when they're combined with the right things. So Bella has those products. And then the Rickett brand is our cannabis brand. It's only sold in California, only sold in dispensaries, and only through that whole cannabis side. We have both the pink and blanc champagne that I explained for Bella, done instead of with CBD, with cannabis. So same idea. We take all the complex carbs, calories, and sugar out of the wine by removing the alcohol. This wine sits in oak barrels, 24 months. It ferments to perfection. I could filter it and put it in bottles and sell it as a retail wine, but we don't. We put it through a whole nother process. We transport it. We spin it in centrifuges. We lose 30% of our volume because alcohol likes water. So we do a whole process to then get this delicious wine, and then we infuse it with the cannabis instead of the CBD, using our same technology for the emulsions. And so we have both a blanc and pink champagne, and then we have a Sauvignon Blanc white wine and a rosé pink still wine as well.
Well, very good. Thanks for taking us through that. And if your appetite or your palate isn't peaked right now, I don't know what else we can do. But when we first met, in you sharing your story with me specifically, you were talking about the technology behind to make all this stuff happen. And you mentioned your business background being in music, but you also come from a family of science and scientists. And so I'm wondering if you could kind of merge that all together and share with us a little in a little bit more detail the types of technology you're using and kind of infuse that in your personal background a little bit.
Yeah, I think that, even though I come from a music background, my family are all doctors. My grandfather was a really famous inventor, and I've always been just keen to create things and make things. So I've always been curious, and I've continued to push and learn. And I believe in the Elon Musk school of thought of, surround yourself with more brilliant people and learn as much as you can through osmosis. But we have really 2 different levels of technology that we've have to put into this product. And, my big goal, the end picture, was always to create a real alternative to alcohol, give people something else that they could choose if they don't choose to drink on a consistent basis. And so the biggest problem I saw out there and originally in the cannabis industry, is the stuff tasted terrible. It was overly sweet, and they were very bitter. And so through time and energy, I learned that the emulsion technology that we're using was very antiquated. And so, we pushed to create more in that. But before you even get to that, really the raw product is the wine. And there's a reason that, there's not a lot of really great zero alcohol wines out there. It's because when you remove the alcohol, it changes the mouthfeel, it changes the texture, it really changes the taste, it changes so much of the wine. So you have to do some things in your formulations and the type of wine you buy. And then, as I said, the process we use these huge centrifuges. It's called spinning cones. And they basically use centrifugal force to flute out the alcohol at certain levels. So we're able to remove all of the alcohol out of there. And what happens is alcohol likes water. So we lose about 30% of our volume. If I spin 10,000 gallons, that's 3,000 gallons of delicious wine that's gone right off the top. And if you're going to go buy a Sutter Home Free or one of these other zero alcohol wines, usually they put that water back in, and it really changes again the texture, the clarity, a lot of elements, as well as the mouthfeel and flavor. So we don't do that. I choose not to do that. I choose to use it in a more, I guess, robust format to give it to it. So that formula, and then finding the raw wines. Wine, I always tell people, wine is like beef. You can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac for a couple bucks, or you can go get a bone-in filet at Mastro's, and it's going to be a completely different experience. Wine's no different. You can go buy a cheap $30 bottle of wine at the grocery store, or $500 bottle of Opus One in Napa, or you can get a 5,000 bottle of a French Bordeaux. It's completely different experience. So I've been really adamant about the raw wines and what we start with, and that's where my background from music, we always say you can't polish a turd. So if you record something crappy, it's going to sound crappy. And so if you start with crappy wine, it's pretty much going to taste crappy. So I'm able to buy what's considered remnants from some of the best vineyards in Napa and Sonoma. And the reason is that wine is usually transported up there by tanker trucks, 6,450 gallons per truck. And it's like a big oil tanker, but it's glycolined and chilled. And wine doesn't like oxygen. So when transporting it, if something is going to be sloshing around like that, you've got to fill that container truck to the brim. I mean, to the very, very top. And then you blanket it with CO2. But even that, if it's got to drive and transport time and everything else, you don't even want much of that space at all in there. So what happens is there's remnants. If there's 2,000 or 3,000 gallons left of a really, really high-end wine, I'm able to purchase those myself and do these runs. And so I start with a higher quality raw product, and I think that's what gives us some of our best, most delicious tasting every vintages that we do. And I really I'm adamant about that flavor profile. So yeah, the technology for the de-alking is a very big deal, but the raw materials that we start with is a big deal. Bigger deal for us is that my product can never touch oxygen after I remove the alcohol, because once your alcohol is out of it, you don't really have a way to disinfect from a lot of microbials that are out there. We've got great little bugger out in just about everything and everywhere we goes called Zygo Saccharomyces. It's a yeast. And so if one spore of that yeast gets into my wine after the alcohol has been removed and gets capped or bottled or corked or anything else, every 7 seconds, one turns to two turns to four turns to eight. What happens is that yeast grows with the sugar, starts re-fermenting, and not only will it start creating alcohol, but the CO2 content will create a bomb for you, and your bottles blow up. So, so the problem and what we have to go through and just transporting our wine and working with our wine in these different environments is really super difficult and very taxing, and we learned a lot about that. The other half of the technology is the emulsion technology. And so we're basically trying to fool quantum science. I mean, quantum science is pretty much set. Oil and water don't mix. Cannabinoids, if it be from hemp or if it be from cannabis or it be from some of the other elements that we work with, are in an oil basis. And to get them into solution, you've got to be able to kind of fool Mother Nature in some ways. So we've been able to come up with some pretty interesting ways. Unfortunately, a lot of the industry is still using what's called liposoma technology, which is about 35 years old in the pharmaceutical industry and pretty antiquated. So I really felt that there was better ways to do what we're doing and continue to push and work with teams of people. And I've partnered myself with some really, really brilliant people. I'm working in an unbelievable facility in Irvine right now that has 3 monster labs, over 30 chemists that are working on not only 2 supplement companies, but there's a whole division in the oncology pharmaceutical side where they've been making pharmaceutical drugs out of this facility for over 30 years. So it's a really phenomenal place. And the technology and the people here have helped me develop next level formulations for our products. So I work with a particle physicist who is probably one of the best, I think, on the planet for construction and deconstruction of molecular components. We use a genetic sequencing equipment and genetic sequencing technology to make our emulsion. And we have, I think, the best tasting, most consistent right now over 5 years in solution without any degradation of potencies. So that side of the technology, I think, is what is groundbreaking and what gives people a whole better experience. A couple things: if you've taken CBD before, if you've eaten gummies or done a tincture or any other format of CBD, when it's in its oil format, it has to run through our digestive system. Our gut's about 1.4 pH. It destroys a lot of stuff. It has to get all the way to our lower intestine to get secreted to our liver. Our liver is the best filter in the world. It filters quite a bit out before it actually, those big gloppy oil molecules get into our bloodstream. Once those oil molecules are in our bloodstream, it can take up to 2 hours for that to happen. It can't go intercellular, too big of a molecule. So what happens is you're throwing a basketball to get a change against the chain link fence. It's just not going to go in, and you're not going to get the cellular absorption, which gives you the higher bioavailability. So when we nanoparticleize our products, it's absorbing in these tiny nanoparticles. They are so small that they're at 90 nanometers. It's so small that it absorbs in your tongue, your esophagus, your stomach lining. You get into your bloodstream, and now you're throwing sand at that chain link fence. You're getting full absorption by the cellular membrane and by your intercellular, the blood wall. So you're able to get 3 to 5 times the bioavailability, much quicker onset. And we think it's just a better, I guess, vehicle for people that are dealing with, anxiety or pain or any of the other things, or just want a way to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a little bit about the technology and the two different sides of it that we're currently continuing to push forward to make the best possible products.
This podcast is brought to you by Mushroom Media, the go-to digital media agency for all things marketing. From crafting captivating campaigns to decoding social media sorcery, Mushroom Media is here to empower your brand and help you scale. So whether you're brewing, distilling, or concocting the next big thing, Mushroom Media has a solution for you.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you walking us through that. Really fascinating stuff. Now let's, for all of our listener base out there, they're all involved in the business of wine and spirits or hospitality. So let's maybe transition to a few business questions here. Are there any particular challenges or obstacles with building the brand, or anything that you've faced over the last few years that you're particularly proud of that you've been able to overcome?
Yeah, I think that just the continued obstacle right now is that we're not federally legal. The idea that this product, just because it's made from hemp and because the FDA hasn't put it in a category and put some type of supplement standards behind it, that we can't advertise. I can't market and advertise this on Facebook, on Instagram, on X or Twitter or whatever these other platforms, because it's still not federally legal. So that's been a real challenge. I also, I've been, in talks with people like Whole Foods and Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits, some of the biggest, distribution companies in the world. But anyone that's a national company, they can't do it. You have to go state to state and deal with the state to state retailers. So that's been an ongoing challenge, I guess. We get some great celebrity endorsement. Some of the people that order and buy our wine that are in the industry in Hollywood that don't drink anymore, but because of their associations with different companies, they are limited on what they can do and how they can even promote or even talk about my brand. So that's an ongoing difficult part of it, a little frustrating. I think that there's more and more people out there that that are looking at alcohol as something that they do at certain times, but still enjoy a delicious glass of wine with dinner and maybe not have to have alcohol every night. There's also a lot of people out there that have health issues, if it be with diabetes and other stuff, where the sugars from the alcohol are too hard for them to consume and too hard to do it. And then there's just other people with big obsessive personalities that alcohol doesn't work well with. So the idea of being able to get more people and get more testimonials like we get at our website and people send to us of how this helps them fit in and gives them something they can enjoy with their friends, and a feeling that they're actually relaxing at the end of the day without having any issues with their sobriety or with their health, or people that are training for different things that are maybe just taking a little break. So for me, the biggest challenge has been getting out to more like-minded people to try it, and every time we do get a hit and stuff, like I just did an interview with a really big magazine, and those type of things I'm hoping will continue to bring more and more eyeballs to the project.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And then, what sort of, I guess, indicators do you use to kind of measure success for your business?
Success is really done two ways. One, be able to stay in business alone is a success.
Yeah,
Through
exactly.
COVID,
Yeah,
we launched Bella as COVID hit, and here we are with a new product that I don't think too many people have ever tasted a CBD wine before. So
yeah.
our whole model was getting out and doing farmers markets and wine tasting events and all this stuff, and that was just all squash. So really, the success we've had online, the success of finding like-minded people like you, Casey, that are doing stuff in the industry, is saying, hey, this is going to be another category in the industry, I think, in the future as we continue to see it grow and we continue to see people go in it. So I look at even our failures as, if you're learning from it, it's still a success. So every day that we help somebody else live a healthier life and enjoy their journey. One of the things that's been pushing on Bella and trending is just make your sobriety fun. It shouldn't
Mm.
be
Oh,
it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You should have options and alternatives to be able to enjoy and relax and partake with friends and family, especially through these holidays. So
yeah. And
every,
then,
every step is a somewhat of a success, I guess.
um, you mentioned, there was one thing that you mentioned that I thought was interesting, where you had all these plans to start during, going out to farmers markets and such. And then you said, well, okay, we had to transition to online. So it sounds like that went successful. Can you share with us maybe that success story of you being able to kind of take on digital marketing and sell online for yourself?
Yeah, it was kind of we were forced into it, and we had to get creative because we really couldn't advertise. And so we just started building up the stuff. We started making specials, and I followed the, I guess, blueprint of the wine clubs that the different wineries had already created, and
Hmm.
tried to create an alternative wine club for people. And we gave a lot of product away to do it, and then just had to get super creative in how we marketed and advertised. If it be the small little beach magazines, if it was I was putting ads on online dating services.
Hmm.
Anyone that is, since we couldn't use our traditional, I couldn't just go, hey, I'm going to target soccer moms in their 30s in Newport Beach, and I
Yeah.
couldn't go any of that type of stuff. So we had to be really creative and using these, like I said, some of these little beach magazines up and down the coast, and we focused on just that. We knew it was a brand that women enjoyed. We had street teams that were still going out to yoga studios and putting flyers and stuff like that. Then we started empowering online influencers and giving them ability to have their own discount codes so they could send their customers and their people to our site, and give their customers and people a discount for using their discount code. And at the same time, they got a kickback commission monthly on sales they did. And so that was just the way. And again, we got some pretty influential people that really enjoyed the brand, and enjoy the product and actually use the product. And so that's helped us continue to grow it. And I think that's my formula is when you find something that's working, then you need to continue really pushing everything you can into those avenues. So we continue to push the wine club. One of the other things that's been really successful for us is white label. If you see
Hmm.
other CBD wines that are out there, it's very possible I'm making them. I have a couple companies that I make these for all of the SKUs that we currently have, and then a couple companies that have SKUs that we don't even have. So that I'm making white label for a couple brands, and that helps. I think every McDonald's needs a Burger King, and eventually needs an In-N-Out. So you got to have some competition. I think if you're the only lone one out there with it, people don't take you serious. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what can you do to compare yourself and drive kind of innovation and whatnot? So that's great. So out of the it sounds like that influencer route went really well for you. So are there any other partnerships or collaborations that you formed since the beginning that have meant a lot towards building the brand?
Every part of it has been great. I think if it be the partnerships on the white label side and having other entities in places. One of the big places that we went, I work with the lady who has a brand called War Chief, and we went to the American Indians and sat down with 14 of the tribal leaders and pitched this process to them, because alcohol, out of any demographic, alcohol has been one of the most destructive to the American Indians. And so we wanted to see if we could give an alternative, and they had no luck with the near beer and O'Doul's and stuff, that people just didn't see any kind of change from it. And people weren't drawn to it. So we created a brand, and the woman I worked with, her grandfather was a famous war chief. And I don't, I'm a white boy, so I'm not in that element. So, developing and creating that partnership with her to bring this product out and help these people was a big deal.
Wow.
The mentorships that I've had, though, for the technology probably have been the most dynamic. I worked with Francisco Antillon. He's, like I said, one of the most brilliant minds, I think, on the planet. I understand stuff that has most people would be just mind boggled. He doesn't speak. I don't know. He speaks like 5 languages, but English is not his first language. But his ideas and his technology, and then coming from someone like me who is a layman, that I'm not a physicist, I don't understand a lot of that, and I have ideas. I say, can we do this and this? And a lot of times people say, no, that can't be done. But you find these incredible minds that will work outside of the box and help you create stuff. So the mentorships with the team here right now at the Farm Vibe Research, with Larry Wu, who was I mentored with him as a flavor specialist. Larry's probably one of the greatest in the business. He created a little brand called Snapple. If you've ever had a Snapple iced tea, his formulations. He created a bunch of the frozen drinks for Starbucks, and on and on and on. Brown and Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
He's been around and been in the industry for a long time, and flavor wise, that's one of the most important things, creating your flavor profile. All of those people, the mentorships, the relationships on the sales end, and then the development side of the technology and the science side, I think, are the most important partnerships that have helped push this to the next level and help us take it to a whole nother.
Great. And you've been listening to the Sipping Success podcast. I'm your host, Casey Haakinson, and we've had our guest, Scott Rickett, President, CEO of Bella Petite Beverages, with us here. It's been a pleasure having you. We're down to our last couple questions for you, Scott.
Okay.
What advice would you give to your younger self looking to break out into the industry like you have?
It's funny. My younger self, I would have never dreamed in a million years that I would be making wine, for sure. But if I was to say anything, is to my younger self, would be keep creating and enjoy the process. That's something that I've been a creator from, if it be from music, and over the years to different content. I've been involved in the action sports world and creative products, and so I really think that would probably be my advice to myself, is just keep creating and also enjoy the process, because you're always up against challenges, and I think I enjoy solving problems, and it never gets old if you always got new challenges in front of you.
Yeah, very well put. And then last question, if anybody out there listening would like to connect with you, say they might have a question, or they might have interest in partnering with you on a project, how would they best get in touch with you?
Yeah, always open to that. I'm big on networking. I'm big on finding other people. I'm working, like I said, with people in the medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm open to all avenues. Probably the best way is through the website. I don't do much with the social media stuff myself personally, but the website, either bellapetitebeverages.com. You can leave a message there, or you can email me, just Scott at Bella Petite Beverages. And then also Rickett Brewing, just Scott at Rickett Brewing, or you can reach out to the website there. That all will get filtered back to me instantly. Anything that is on white label, product development, any of the other technologies and stuff, or, options, people that are interested in trying the product. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, wonderful. Well, this has been a really fun interview, and you heard it, bellapetite.com if you want to reach out to Scott here directly.
Yeah,
And
Bella
Scott,
Petite Beverages. Sorry, had to get them all in there, unfortunately. BellaPetiteBeverages.com.
okay, my apologies.
No problem.
BellaPetiteBeverages.com. So reach out to him there if you have any questions or want to run something past him. So Scott, again, thank you for all the great detail that you shared with us in building your business. Very interesting time here this afternoon. Thank you again for your time. And you have been listening to the Sipping Success podcast. I'm your host, Casey Haakinson. Again, we were joined by Scott Rickett, President CEO of Bella Petite Beverages. Scott, again, thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Casey.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for listening. And until next time, you've been listening to Sipping Success.
And that's a wrap on another insightful episode of Sipping Success, brought to you by Mushroom Media. We hope our discussions have left you thirsting for more knowledge in the world of beverages and alcohol. Stay connected with us on social media for updates. And remember, the journey to success is best enjoyed one sip at a time. Keep exploring trends, connecting with leaders, and scaling your brand. Until our glasses meet again, cheers to your continued success, and may your cups always runneth over with inspiration. We'll catch you in the next episode.